Did your dad have a sense of humour?
Yes.
I feel so stupid right now, as if I just want to burst into floods of laughter. Not floods of tears, but laughter. And everything... So I need to acknowledge your dad here.
Mm-hmm.
But everything he's saying to me is daft.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel... I'm a huge fan of Les Dawson. And I thought his comedy was amazing. And apparently Les Dawson was a brilliant pianist, but he could never play it straight because he couldn't keep his face straight without laughing.
Right.
Your dad's the same. Everything is funny, but it was just him. He's larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
And in his death, I would expect him to be the same, and he's saying he is. And if he came in here all miserable and serious, you'd know it wasn't him.
Yeah.
So he laughed his way through life. He's not prepared for how he feels right now, mind. So in saying that, suddenly he's gone very serious, and he wasn't prepared for being stood in front of you, finally being able to speak to you one-on-one, knowing that you'd get him. And it's taken him back a bit. It takes a lot to shock your dad.
Mm.
So for a man that was all of this, he's suddenly gone very quiet, and I've got him in the palm of my hand. On the day he passed, it was such a shock. He didn't truly know he was that bad. I have to admit something to you now from your dad. The warning signs have been there. And he ignored them. And he's sorry, because he feels he's let you both down. Looking back in hindsight, which is an amazing thing to have, 6 weeks prior to him passing, he knew it was probably something. He'd had all the symptoms and the heartburn and the bits of chest pain, and but he liked his food and he liked his life, and he just thought that was just part of that. So he just carried on and just ignored it. And I don't know whether he had a lot of Gaviscon, but I'm needing to acknowledge it, because he's not a medicine-y kind of person. But he just thought, oh, I'll take that and it will get rid of it. And it didn't. On the day that it got too much and he couldn't ignore it anymore, it happened so quickly. When we were just briefly talking outside before filming, I asked if your dad had, because he came to me in the hallway, if he'd had, he gets very impatient actually, and I think he was trying to tell me at that point that he was ready. And he was like, come on. And he made me feel funny, which is the empath part of me, and it made me feel like, my head had been knocked backward and I was falling on the floor as if I was just... And he said it was like a scene from the movies. He overplayed it, but that's how he got taken. And he felt so dizzy and faint, and at first he thought he was having a stroke. And he did question whether or not he'd actually had some lack of oxygen to his head, because he couldn't breathe and his head went funny. And then he couldn't speak, and it was like he couldn't get it out. And he knew at that point that that was it. He needs you to know he tried. I don't know if he tried to get help or he tried to survive.
Did he survive?
He couldn't. It was impossible. Moreover, being as difficulty breathing as he was, he didn't think it would be a good idea to come back, because he was frightened that he would have been too poorly. There was only the three of you. You and your brother and your dad. You were a team. You're like the Three Musketeers. And he was so scared that he'd be a burden on you. That's why he didn't go to hospital. How stupid. Stupid. But he didn't want to let you down. He didn't want to give you something else to have to do, worry about your old dad. So he made it out that, I'm fine, everything's fine. His life is through the lens. His life is through the other side of the camera. The other people in the reading actually had that said too, but his whole life is mapped out in pictures, photographs of you, and that was his life. He just loved it. He'd photograph the randomest of stuff, but make it look unbelievable. And he's saying you could look at the album and think, who on earth would take a picture of that? Your dad would. He didn't just like people. He liked. In fact, actually, he didn't like people very much.
They annoyed him.
He's just said, I don't like people. I need to admit this now for the world to see. he was getting increasingly annoyed with people and their selfishness and the way that everybody just thought about themselves, and why did they get off on thinking about that? And so he liked to take things that didn't involve people, like scenery and bits of silly objects, tables and shoes. I don't know what he's taking pictures of, but it's random. And he could turn that into an art form, and that's what your dad specialised in. You've got those pictures. I don't know if you've got a big one on the wall, something he's taken, but it's making me feel he's blown one up.
I've not got one of that he's took, but I've got one from his living room.
On the wall, a big one. Okay, that's what he's acknowledging. That was above your fireplace or like above that side.
Yeah.
But he loves it. He will make it go squint. Has he already done that?
I don't know.
Okay. Maybe as he comes in, he wants to let you know that, and pictures for your dad are obviously important, so he would knock it slightly. And that would be just the way of you, no matter how many times you try to straighten it. Like these shades in this room are all wonky. That would be your dad, Mr. Wonky. He tried to be good to himself. He tried to slow down, and he doesn't even like the D word, but he tried it once. That would be diet. He didn't like that. It didn't suit him. It made him feel funny. Likes his sugar too much. He did try, Kelly. He needs you to know how much he tried. But in the end, it was just, life was life to him, and he wanted to go out with a big bang. And I think he really did achieve that. I need to acknowledge Barry, who, if he says once more, I hope my dad's proud of me, or I hope my dad can see me, I think your dad will come down and murder him. Because he's with him constantly. And he must have just passed out, or just had a passing out parade. It was one of the proudest moments of your dad's life.
It was on Dad's anniversary.
How amazing is that? Because I'm sure the Navy didn't arrange that. But it was your dad was there with bells on. And I don't know if Barry had to give some kind of salute, or was it a special little bit of it, but he's making me feel he was picked out. So he wasn't in with the others. I don't know if there was 12 or 15 of them in a special thing.
He got the captain's prize for best recruit.
Then that's what he's saying. He's in a special unit all of his own. He's elite. He always knew he was special. He used to joke actually as a kid that he was special. The other kind of special. Special needs. But he was... you're both special in your own way. But Barry needs to be shown and told he's special. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He needs to be shown he's special. And that it is your dad's kind of honour of him almost patting himself on the back. Barry won't pat himself on the back, but he needs other people to do it for him. And your dad is saying that that was the most amazing accolade that Barry could get. And your dad's proudest moment. Barry actually said afterwards, Dad, this one's for you. Your dad heard every word. So can you tell him that, well, he'll watch this, but you made your dad proud that day, son. You really did. You make him proud in other ways. He's the best mum ever. You struggle with that. You struggle with thinking that you're not a good mum. Or I once read somewhere that being a bad mum isn't telling your child off, and being a good mum isn't reading them a bedtime story every time before you go to bed. It's getting the balance right. Your dad says that you've got the balance just perfect in his eyes. They both are grounded. Your little girl is the youngest one. She's something. She invents buttons to push. And your dad's like encouraging her. Like, go, come on. Because that's what you were like as a child. You were headstrong, stubborn, and actually she's just you, but miniature. And I think that's sometimes maybe why you rub each other up the wrong way, because you can see yourself in her. She can see you there. She knows he's there. She can sense him. So if ever there's things that she says has happened, or don't disbelieve her, you need to encourage that, because she's his little lighthouse in a dark world. She's the bright star. Did you put a camera in with him?
Photographs.
Okay, because he's talking about having the pictures or the photographs with him. But I can't imagine, that wouldn't really be allowed, would it? What a silly thing to suggest. I wanted to put a bottle of whiskey in with my dad, he wouldn't allow that, you know, blow the oven up. He's got a camera around his neck constantly. That's how he comes through, with a camera around his neck. That was him. always. He keeps singing the Duran Duran song. That girl's on film. Don't know why, don't know if it was a singer. That's the song he's singing. That's his song. And does this really funny dance. Don't know if it was a dancer, but
He tried.
Yeah, he did. He's got 2 left feet still. But that's him. He'd always have a go. He'd always try. Did you think about cancelling Christmas? He's got an issue with Christmas that it wasn't the same.
Dad and Barry used to come round at, as early as they could physically get themselves out their own bed. So if it was 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning, they used to come and chat. Barry would go at the back of the house and Dad would go at the front.
And that stopped. That's what's not the same. Things have changed. When your dad went, it wasn't just your dad that went too. It was almost as if Barry was his little friend. And it's almost as if you've lost 2 at the same time as losing 1. Your dad feels proud that Barry's gone and joined the Navy. It was something he always wanted to do, and I think he did it later in life than he would have.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure if your dad passing gave Barry the momentum to do it, but your dad feels responsible in an odd way, that you've not only lost your dad, but to a degree you've lost him too, because obviously now he's away sailing the seas. But it was what was necessary for Barry.
Yeah.
But Christmas is probably one of the hardest times that for you, because your dad's just saying it's just not the same, but he's always there. You'll probably do it this year. Get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and knock the door. That was really bad of you. You just get so excited about stuff. Is there a joke about a hat?
A hat?
I'm supposed to get something funny about a hat. Whether he had a Santa hat on or he had this funny little beanie hat, but I'm supposed to acknowledge this funny hat. I don't know whether it's you or Barry or him, but there's something funny about how he keeps giving me the hat and it's important. You'll have to ask Barry whether it's a joke he has now about a hat.
So maybe his navy hat.
But it's a hat. There must be something funny about it. I don't know if he sat on it or there is something funny, but your dad is laughing, but then your dad laughs about everything.
Yeah.
And who didn't like to eat bones?
Me.
That's the best bit of a lamb chop. You're just not right. He's just saying, don't get me started about the food. You would not eat anything if it had a bone in it. How odd was that to feed? And if you eat spaghetti, you get it everywhere. It's just... Dad's foodie.
I get that for him.
Do I? He's laughing, you're in better shape than he is. It's this whole thing to do with the slurping of the spaghetti. Your dad couldn't manage it. And he was very noisy. And he couldn't do the whole twirling thing. Because so many stories about food that he could give you. Have you been seeing the birds? The little robins?
I've seen a couple of robins, but it's mainly magpies.
Your dad is mentioning the birds. Very much how he will see you. So if ever you think it's Dad, it really is. One of the most unusual things you'll see is the bird of prey. And it will sit on the fence and you'll keep seeing it. That's your dad. He's not a magpie.
That's on the way to my work.
Do you keep seeing it? It's your dad. It's the I don't even know what the buzzards, the big buzzardy thing with the big feet. And it's sat there looking right at you. And you'll keep seeing it again and again and again. Your dad's just saying, that's me. Just keeping an eye on you. BBI. When Dad went, the shock really hasn't settled in yet. And it's almost as if he's out playing or going out to the shops, or he's gone off on a film thing or something. And for you just keep on imagining him walking in the door. He likes that. Because he keeps saying that he hasn't really gone anywhere. I'm right with you, every day. I keep imagining that I've just gone down to Tesco's. That's where I am. Buying my lamb chops. He loves his headstone. You don't need to thank me. He's just said thank you. It would have been impossible for you to have got that. It would have taken you forever. And he knows how important it was for you to have a place to go and for the kids to go. But the special touch is the camera that you put on it. That's unique. And so many people have walked by and said, look at that. And it's like, it's me. And the verse underneath is unique to him. What does it say?
I was a quiet, upstanding, sober pillar of the community.
I lied, basically. You lied. That is so him. That is so typically him. And right where you've got it, it's just perfect for everybody to see. You understated things, but that's just what he likes. It's just perfect. You don't need to go there all the time, because you know your dad's with you. But when you do, it's an amazing feeling that he gets standing there next to you. Has Barry been in uniform?
Not there, no.
He wants a picture of Barry in uniform. I don't know if he needs it to be taken and just popped there.
No.
If that makes sense. There must be something where I can't do the stance. God almighty. I've got to do this. It'd be like something out of the YMCA. Barry's kind of all stood there in looking like an Indian, in some kind of military stance with his legs open and his hat on. And he must have this picture because it's one that your dad keeps acknowledging. And he just wants that at the back so he can show him off.
With his legs open?
He must be stood that way.
There's one of them sitting down.
Has he got his legs open? I don't even want to go there. It's the one with his legs open. This sounds really bad. He knows it's embarrassing me. I don't want to tell them how good looking he is. Shut up. You really embarrassed me. I had to crush on Barry, I really did. Oh God, embarrassing. Then that one, who wants that picture? You just run a copy off and just pop it at the back. Just wants to show off to the world. Have you got him the lights yet? The solar powered lights?
No.
Can you have them there? He wants one. Just because the person next door's got them. He doesn't want to be left out. If you could just take them. 2, he wants.
Doesn't want much, does he?
Not really. Was he ever serious for very long?
No.
Unbelievable.
You were lucky if you've ever seen him serious.
Well, I know. I'm thinking it's the most ridiculous reading ever. I'm just laughing. But that's just who he is. And even if he's trying to be serious with me, I think he's pulling my leg. Mm-hmm. And he is. Yeah. He's trying to embarrass me. That's the whole let's get Paula day. That's what this is. Let's get Paula day. He's not finished yet. You are. Is he joking now then that you could put shelves up and do electrical things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. He's talking about DIY.
No chance.
No, right. He was best at it. Like, I'll get the things out and mend your sockets and things. I bet you would. And I liked sweeties. Lots of them. He always had a little bag with him. He was a secret eater. If you played music, would he turn it up really loud?
In my car?
Yes, I'm driving, just to get you. And did he ever try and put the handbrake on or change the gear? Which is a really stupid thing to do. He's laughing in the car all the time. And if you're driving, he's turning it up like ridiculously loud. But he was in a car with someone and he either went to change the gear or put the handbrake on. And that really is quite funny. It's not really. Thought it was you, so it might be Barry. You'll have to ask. But he likes to fiddle about with things, turn things on and off. Keeps doing it to the telly. Has he done that yet?
Yeah.
That's his thing.
I tried to watch a film the other night.
Not having any of it, wasn't his kind. Likes to turn it on and off or keep putting the sky on or...
It kept going up 3 channels.
Coming back down again. Yeah, that's where you will watch these silly movies.
It's kind of ugly.
It's too silly for him. Has to be like a Mother Nature film. He likes doing that, that's his thing, that's what he does. Did you feel, he's doing a bit of serious, he doesn't do it well. Who thought he passed alone? Nobody, because he keeps saying he wasn't alone when he passed, you knew that?
Yeah, as well.
Okay, then he's saying that I didn't. Then does Barry have an issue with him not being there?
Barry was there.
Well, somebody wasn't there.
He might not have known that.
He didn't. Okay. Because he knew that you were there. Because he could feel you. Okay. Oh, it's okay. He now knows Barry's there, so it's good. He didn't want Barry to feel guilty that he wasn't there. Do you hold his hand? You could feel it. You told him it was okay. If you gave him permission, but that's what it feels like. It's alright, Dad. You can go. I'll be okay. He heard you. But he couldn't speak back. His head was not very well. Has he got the mask on? Oh, I hated it. Get it off. It was too tight. I'm really sorry to have to ask this. Did he die with his mouth open? Oh, I was terrified because the mask pulled his mouth down. And he said, what a memory of me you must have. Because he's really gorgeous normally. Gosh, yeah. I know I struggled because I just didn't like it. I fought everything. I fought every tooth and nail, every bone of my body I could. But I couldn't fight it anymore. I just fell asleep. And everything just went beep. You held his hand for ages afterwards. He loved that. It was one of the oddest moments of his life, but one of the best. You were all just quiet. It was probably the first time all three of you had sat and not said anything. But at that point he realised, probably then more than anything, how much he loved you. And how strong he knew that you would have to be. And he keeps thanking you for being the strength that you've been for everybody. You've carried an entire family. Sometimes detriment to yourself because you've not let go. And he's saying, it's okay, I understand that. You're the best. You're his favourite girl. There just is you, the daughter. And he's just saying you're my favourite daughter. Seriously. I don't know if he always kidded you on that you were the best girl, but you are his best girl.
Yeah, he used to always pretend that he had another one with Kylie Minogue.
I was just talking about that, sad Kylie Minogue. He in his dreams, he wishes, just the friendship that you had, you weren't like daughter and dad, you were like best friends. And it's the same with Barry, it was like, not son and dad, you were just friends, all of you. You had the stupidest of senses of humour, stupidest relationship. And it was hard to accept it. It's now not there. And there is a massive, massive hole, massive void. And it'll never be filled. But hopefully you can watch this back every time you think that you're missing him, and you'll remember that he's here with us right now, because he's not going anywhere. He keeps asking why I'm looking at his feet. Doesn't just happen. I never see feet, it's such a phenomenon. I was beginning to think they got chopped off on the way there. I can see his feet. I think I'm probably the first person in 300,000 I've seen feet. No, he's insisting on showing me his feet. He knew I'd get him. I'd get the quirkiness of him, because my kind of readings are not everybody's cup of tea. But he knew I would get who he was, and that was important to him. So that when you got your dad through, it was the right dad that you got. And it wasn't just somebody saying his name, which is Douglas, by the way. Just so that you know it. I'm Captain. I had to call him Doogie. 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 Or Dougal. He also likes what he's dressed in. I think there was a bit of a kerfuffle with what you were going to dress him in. But you got your way. Thank God. Because he's like being all tarted up. That's not for him. Just likes what he's wearing. Nice and comfy. Thought you were going to bury him in his baddies.
Never put nothing on his feet.
He didn't. No, I can tell. He's really quite taken aback with that one. He's got no shoes. He doesn't Barefoot. Oh, you know, you provided him with socks.
Yeah, they're not on though.
It's just bare feet. That's probably why he's wanting to show me his feet.
We put in a pair of Barry socks because he always used to steal them.
He's not wearing them. He's got the best. He's keeping them for an occasion. I'm amazed they're not even odd socks. Odd socks is what you normally get. Do you know he's been out with odd socks on? Yeah, many a time. Yeah. Different coloured tops and everything. I just take them out the drawer, that's what you do. Don't matter if they're odd.
No.
At least I'm wearing them. Half the time I think you were lucky if you wore trousers. I'm deeply honoured. Did you give him one rose? He's got just one rose that's important. Not a bunch. Just one. I don't know if that's near him.
I don't know, maybe somebody's put it down.
Just one. It's not a whole bunch of roses. Just one. I wondered if it was you that gave him it. Because he's not into flowers. Just likes the one. Maybe it's just fallen down, but it's just one rose I need to acknowledge. You have to go up and have a look. Let me know. But there's flowers in both sides. Yes. Or just one side.
Just one.
That side.
Left.
Left, yeah. Because it's not overstated. He likes the simplicity of it. Did you give him a book? Like books? Or writing down something? I need him to acknowledge something in a book written, but not pre-written. Of course books have got writing in them, like a journal or a diary, that's what I'm supposed to mention.
No.
Or somebody writing something in a card, or writing a verse down or a poem down. And him having that in with him. It's written by either you or a family member.
Right.
It's it's almost like an expression of love for him, and who he meant and what he was to you.
I wrote down something for the funeral service that we had. But I didn't
so the expression, so the words were come from you in a book, like a leaflet thing. Okay. Was it printed?
No, I wrote it.
No. This is something that's printed down, words, and this is after.
Yeah. That's Lindsay.
Okay. What does that mean?
Lindsay's my best friend, and she had a baby and I didn't get to meet Harry, and Lindsay wrote a poem from Harry and we went and put it up at the stone.
Okay.
Last week or week before.
Your dad's acknowledging that, thank you. He's got it with him. Means the world to him. Absolute world. It's very, very, very special. It's printed like a book. He gets there in the end. Big shoulders. Big man.
Really?
Nobody could carry him in. I'd like to see them try. He laughed about that. Am I going to fit in one? Actually, he thought he looked a bit squashed.
I had to get it specially made.
He did. He's admitting that. You had to get half a width extra. How embarrassing. He's embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed about that. I was wondering, made me feel it was like a specially made one. So it should be. Where's Ollie eating all them sweeties? I just did what he did. Did they charge you extra, he said?
No, I don't think so.
Good. Because then he would have been really embarrassed. Your dad was who he was. He made no bones about that. He made no apologies for being who he was. Never will. Never has. You never need to make apologies because you're always perfect. But Barry needs to. The two of them are like Morecambe and Wise and Cannon and Ball together. Barry must miss his little sidekick. Your dad says to tell him that he's still there every day. Is there anything you'd like to ask? I'm going to leave you with your dad's love. He is with you forever and a day. Never ever forget that.
I'm absolutely over the moon with the reading that I've just had from Paula. I mean, she knew things that only my closest friends and family would have known, and it's just absolutely blew me away. I'm speechless. I would definitely say that today's helped me. I think not knowing, because you're not able to speak to anybody, I think having the sort of closure, knowing that he's there with me all the time, has definitely helped. Definitely. I've met Paula once before, and that was only because her foundation funded a headstone for my dad. I've never had a reading from her. I would definitely recommend to friends and family. Again, never been in this experience before. You come in and you think, what they're going to come up with, and they're going to ask you questions to then feed off of. Paula's not done any of that, and she's just came out with this personal stuff that nobody would have known. There's no even way of her looking on Facebook and finding out the things that she came out with today. I would definitely recommend it to everybody and anybody.